Farro is an old world grain. It's whole grain wheat and has gone through very little processes. The flavour is incredible and it's a great substitute for brown rice. You can use it for risottos or pop it in stews, but I'm going to use it in a salad. Now, instead of just boiling this farro, I'm going to add some vinegar to the water. Now, the vinegar is not only going to flavour it for this salad, but it's also going to make this farro quite tender. So in with 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, along with 2 cups of water. I know it sounds like a lot of vinegar, but it really does impart a great flavour into this nutty grain. Give it a really good rinse, and then in it goes, and I'll turn the heat on. I'll also add 2 bay leaves and a good pinch of salt. Now this is going to come to the boil, then I'm going to turn it down, pop the lid on and cook it for about 25 to 30 minutes or until it's really tender. Now while that's happening, we can get on to the really fun flavours that's going into our salad. I've just been preheating a grill pan to a high heat, and then I'll start with some onion. This is just classic Spanish onion. I want texture in this salad. I do go on about it a lot, but it is important for a delicious salad, some crunch and some different varieties of shapes in there with the vegetables. So cutting them into chunky wedges, and then also some eggplant. I'll just take the top off the eggplant, ensure that it's really shiny, there's not too many bruises along it, and it's quite firm. Now for this, I'm just slicing it. I'll get rid of the first bit and then into nice thin oval shapes. Now this is quite a young eggplant, so I'm not going to salt it. And as you can see in the center, there's only very small seeds. When you see an eggplant that's a bit spongy or has large seeds, then it's always wise to salt it a little bit just to get that bitterness away. We don't need to do that at all. Okay, now we need to season this with a little bit of salt and pepper and olive oil. Spread it out on your board. So freshly cracked pepper, a good glug of extra virgin olive oil over the top, and a good pinch of salt. And then just rub everything together. It's okay if the onion breaks up a little. And then onto the grill, and I'll do this in batches. It's not going to take long at all, just until it softens, maybe 1 to 2 minutes on each side. And then in all the little gaps, we'll add our onions and we'll cook them until they're caramelized. So that's the first batch. And we can get onto a very simple vinaigrette. Now there's already a lot of vinegar in the farro, so we don't need to add extra vinegar to the dressing. And I'll zest this whole lemon. When you're zesting a lemon, always ensure that you move the lemon around and don't grate on the same spot for too long. What will happen is you'll get some of the pith and you'll get really bitter flavour from the lemon as opposed to that really beautiful perfume from the zest. So just 1 stroke as you go around the lemon. Just like that. Great. Now for some of the juice, I'll cut that lemon in half. And I only want half the lemon for this. Again, not adding too much acid from the lemon because the farro will have that apple cider vinegar in it. Use good quality olive oil for this because it's going to flavour the salad, and a good pinch of salt always. And give that a really quick mix. And at this stage, I love to add some tomatoes. Yellow tomatoes, orange tomatoes, some red tomatoes, classic ones. And look at this zebra style of tomato. These are just cherry tomatoes. I'm adding them now because I want them to soften a little bit and really take on the flavour of the lemon, the olive oil and the salt, and give it a mix. And you can bruise it up a bit. A tomato that comes from the fridge tastes quite bland, but if it's at room temperature and you season it with salt, the flavour is incredible. So that's a really good tip. All right, we'll leave that to the side. I'm going to continue cooking my veggies until they're ready, and we'll wait for that farro to cook too. Now my veggies have been char grilled, they've cooled down. These onions are incredible because as soon as you grill them and they've softened, they become really, really sweet. And have a look at this farro. Doesn't it look fantastic? It's absorbed all of the water. It almost reminds me of risotto. It's so soft. I'll take the bay leaves out. They've done their job. I'm gonna have a taste just to make sure the seasoning's right. God, it is so good. You know, this is a great alternative to couscous and quinoa. It's one of those ancient grains that become really in vogue at the moment. All right, I'm gonna add this now to our tomatoes that have been macerating for a while. I love the vinegar flavor in there, it's fantastic. Now we'll add our caramelized onions, and just for our eggplant, I'm just going to pile them into 2 piles and then just roughly slice and then dice, just so they're in smaller pieces, so it's much easier to eat. This is almost like a really chunky chopped salad, if you like. Now for some fresh herbs. I love the combination of parsley and mint, and I'm going to run my knife through the parsley and mint so we get a nice big handful of the leaves. Roughly chopped is great for this. In it goes. We need a burst of sweetness, so some currants. These lovely currants will do the job. And I love the addition of some dried apricots, just a handful. And dried figs are great in a salad like this. Just run your knife through the dried fruit and then piling it up and then running your knife through it again. Really roughly is fine. In it goes. And we did discuss texture at the beginning. I love the addition of some almonds, just raw almonds that have the skin on because there's so much flavor in the skin, and roughly running your knife through it 3 or 4 times. You can leave some of them whole and finely chop some of them, so we've got a mixture of both to make this extra interesting. In it goes. And then a big handful of kale. This is one seriously healthy salad. It's an interesting salad too. There's so much going on, and I've kept it vegetarian, but by all means you could add some shredded chicken into this, some leftover steak, leftover lamb. In it goes. All I need to do now is give this a really good toss. Mix all those flavors together, separate those grains. All of those ingredients absorb that lovely vinaigrette from the lemon and the olive oil. Okay, I'm gonna plate up now. A nice, generous amount of this salad in a lovely bowl. And this is just delicious as is. But to give an element of creaminess to this, I'm adding a hint of fresh, creamy ricotta. This is great in salads, and a nice big clump on top is a really lovely touch. But before you serve it, always add a good drizzle of olive oil to the ricotta and some salt and a good crack of pepper. Now you can change up this cheese. You could add some feta. You could also add a little bit of buffalo mozzarella or goat's cheese. But if you haven't tried ricotta in a salad, give it a go because it's really light and fluffy. That is a very bright salad, a very healthy salad, using a grain that used to be not so cool. Now it's very, very trendy.